Hey, this is Brent Jensen, and you're listening to No Sleep Till Sudbury, the show where we talk about the music that makes your skin vibrate. And my guest today is Glass Tiger keys player, Mr. Samuel Reid. Sam, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Well, thank you for having me along. This is very exciting.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to have you. So, Sam, your Grammy-nominated and multiple Juno Award-winning band Glass Tiger is doing something in 2020 that you have been waiting to do for 34 years, and that is release a Christmas record this week. It's coming out later this week. It's called Songs for a Winter's Night.
Yeah, it's shocking to us as well. We just haven't been able to get our head around this for 34 years. We've talked about it. Mm-hmm. It's never happened. And this year, of course, with everything that's going on in the world and the fact that we have no live touring going on, we sat down as a band and said, we got to come out of this COVID thing with something constructive. And I said to Alan, if there was ever a year that we could pull our socks up and do a Christmas release, this would be it. That's where we are.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, right? And it's an excellent time, actually, for it. Before the show started, you and I were talking about the comfort of Christmas. I think we could all use a little bit more of that in 2020. So, great timing.
Yeah, no, the timing was perfect for us, and it's been a great distraction for us creatively that we can't tour right now. But so since actually prior to the whole COVID thing starting, we started in June actually, and sort of chipping away at it, and then it just became a real focus in March, kind of to wrap it up and get the songs ready. And so it just, if anything, it became more focused when we realized we were going to have this extended time.
Yeah. Now, Sam, there's a lot of cool things about this record. First of all, it's a collection of original Christmas and holiday songs written by Glass Tiger. You were also joined by some friends, is that right?
Christmas is one of those holiday times that you tend to gather with friends and family, and that's certainly the motivation behind me enjoying a lovely Christmas. So musically, we just thought, we'd love to connect with some people that we have great respect for, admiration for, and have never worked with. So, and a few sort of surprises that you wouldn't have sort of normally have put us together with. And so we decided to have some fun with that on this release.
Mm-hmm. So you've got, can I do this? Is this an adequate spoiler? Can we talk about it?
Yeah, this is the big reveal. Go for it.
This is actually really cool. Rock Voisin joins you guys.
Yeah.
Natalie McMaster also joins you guys. And the coolest thing, Gord Lightfoot actually narrates a poem by Alan Frew that he wrote, and it is called...
Yes, Ode for a Winter's Night.
Ode for a Winter's Night, right. And so Gord actually gave his personal approval to Glass Tiger to cover his old classic as well, which is a song for a winter's night. And I assume that's where the title of the record came from.
Yeah, we decided, we were throwing around some different names. We were actually going to call it like 34 Christmases at one point because we were like, wow, this is such a milestone for us. We've celebrated as a band 34 Christmases together. Yeah. And then, that was a working title. And then we started to develop the songs. And one of the only covers on the record was this Gordon Lightfoot track, Song for a Winter's Night. And we thought, why don't we just, that's a great feeling. Why don't we just pluralize that, and that can be the collection? So we ended up going, with Gordon's blessing, of course, to make that the album title.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So now, Sam, the digital release of the record comes out this Friday, October 30th, and the CD and vinyl will come out shortly after.
Yeah, early November. As soon as they're ready, they're in production right now. So that we really wanted to get a head start on the digital release, so that we, because going into the season, we thought it would be, the fans would get a chance to enjoy it for a bit longer. If you release stuff late or early December, you've got such a small window, and we wanted it to be available for the fans. For a good run heading into the holidays to get everybody in the right frame of mind.
Oh, for sure. Well, when Christmas music typically starts, you can go shopping in end of October and hear Christmas music on the PA system sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of jumping on Christmas like as early as, and actually even October 30th is pushing the envelope a little bit for me. Yeah. I'm generally a mid-November, but it's a digital release, and it's a good way to introduce the record, so we're kind of making an exception this year. I sometimes feel that they're jumping on things a bit early, but there you go. We're going to give people a little more time to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do the same thing. I would say last week of November is probably, when I hit the play button on the playlist for Christmas songs, because they play, every day in the house. So by January, it's, it's time to turn it off.
It's time to, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm thrilled that you're here doing this. The funny story about the planning of this episode with you, Sam, is that I was approached about having you on the show, and I said, yes, of course. I'm a Glass Tiger fan from way back. And you and I get to talking about the Christmas album and the fact that we could do a proper Christmas-themed episode of the Christmas songs that make Sam Reid's skin vibrate to line up with this Christmas release of Glass Tiger. And so I say to you, this works perfectly because Rick Emmett usually does our Christmas special every year. But this year, Rick and I came up with something different. And you say, how weird is that? Rick and I did a Christmas album of our own back in the 90s called Spirit of Christmas, and we're actually good friends. I had no idea, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the only thing I've done prior to this Glass Tiger release that has any connection to Christmas. Rick and I spent a lot of time on songwriter boards and different various industry functions, and became really good pals. And of course, I'm a huge fan of all of his music and his musicianship. And we're sitting around one day and we said, we should do something. And then I don't even remember who came up with the idea that it should be a Christmas thing, but that's what we get stuck into. And I've always loved getting a chance to work with Rick on that Christmas album. So when you said, oh, I usually do a Christmas episode with Rick, I'm thinking, oh, that is crazy, because that's the only person I've done anything related to Christmas with other than this year now.
I know, it's so funny. What a bizarre coincidence.
That's great. I love working with him. He's such a taskmaster. I remember when we did the record, he's one of those ultra organized individuals.
Oh yeah.
And cracking the whip and that, and because you're racing to a deadline. Most Christmas music, oddly enough, is recorded in June and July and August, which is really a tough time to get motivated for Christmas. Yeah. But we did not. We had a shorter time frame, and Rick kept the whip cracked, and we got it done. And I remember it's like I got a sense of how dedicated he is and his work ethic.
I've done probably 190 shows now of No Sleep Till Sudbury, and Rick Emmett by far is the most prepared, most engaged, most knowledgeable person that I've had on the show by far. He writes out entire scripts for these shows. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, try recording a record with him. Yeah, no, it's great because that's how you get stuff done. And he's also very high standards for like nothing gets by him. So I mean, the musicianship and stuff. It's just it was so much fun to it definitely raised my game a whole lot.
Yeah, for sure, for me too. We may have a little surprise with Mr. Emmett's name on it at the end of your playlist.
Yeah, I mean, you'd asked me, I love the idea of your show, and thinking what Christmas songs would I pull out of the hat as my favorite, especially when you only have 5 or 6 to pick from. Mm-hmm. And I honestly, I just one of the songs that it's a shameless plug, I guess, but one of the songs in my collection of all this traditional music, it was the song that I did with Rick that I put on every year, and it makes me smile.
That's awesome. Awesome. So we'll get to that in a second. So now I've got your list of 5 here, and it's super traditional. We talked about it at the top of the show. Just fantastic. I love Bing Crosby. Ray Charles is on here. We'll go through these, and we will start actually with Bing Crosby. White Christmas is your first pick. Now, this is the original 1942 version that you've got here.
Yeah, because that song came out it was recorded in 42, I believe. It's come out on a few versions, a few flavors, and they actually tried to stereoize it. It was a mono recording that they tried this little, and now in stereo kind of thing, and it was terrible. It was they basically added stereo reverb to the track, and I hate that version. I much prefer the mono version.
I've never heard that. Yeah, that would sound a bit odd, I imagine.
Yeah, I love her. I love the original. It's a drier recording, but it's mono because back in the day that was it kind of reminds me of some early Beatles recordings that were
That's
done
right.
mono, and I believe that some of their recordings they tried to make stereo, and the only way they could do it was hard pan. That's why you have mixes with all drums left heavy, and all vocals right heavy, and it's a
Mm.
very strange mix, but the monophonic recordings of those early records are terrific.
Yeah, and it adds to the overall charm, right, of the
Absolutely.
experience. Yeah, this is definitely on my playlist as well. I love it. Dean Martin is next with "Let It Snow."
Yeah, I love Dean. I just there's something about the Rat Pack thing, and he's a voice that comes up. It's instantly recognizable, of course, and there's just something lovely about. I almost put Perry Como along with him because I love Perry Como too. It's just such a comforting voice.
Hmm.
But Dean's awesome.
Yeah. More contemporary, Michael Bublé. "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" is next.
Yeah, I gotta say that from the newer albums that have come out, and of course, a lot of these traditional songs have been done to death.
Mm.
The list of covers, and some of them have been quite good, and some of them not so good. And of course, you can never ever knock the classics off their perch because they are the ultimate. However, I felt that when I first heard Bublé's Christmas album, which was basically a collection of traditional ones, I was glad to hear it. He did it in the old way.
Yeah.
The arrangements are very fetching. It's so well orchestrated. Of course, he's a wonderful, talented singer in that. And Christmas music is one of those things where, there's these established songs, and then it's really hard to break in to that genre to become a classic. And I thought Bublé's record was a tremendous effort, and it goes on every year at our house.
That's a great point because it is a very closed system almost, right? And you think about people doing Christmas songs all the time that don't really take. I can think of maybe just a handful off the top of my head, like McCartney, "Wonderful Christmas Time" might be one. But, people put out Christmas songs all the time and they just never reach that status of being a true classic, right?
Well, that's one of the challenges of recording Christmas music, and one of the reasons why we ended up writing some songs. We really didn't feel that. I mean, the Gordon Lightfoot cover is a song for a winter's night. It's not specifically a Christmas song.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just a winter song.
Yeah.
And if you listen to how Gordon describes it in his 1970s recording live, he talks about what the motivation for the song is, and it's really nothing to do with Christmas whatsoever. But a lot of these cover songs, we just couldn't get our head around them, and we certainly couldn't knock any of them off their perch.
Yeah.
That's a very challenging thing to do. The cheese meter goes up really fast on Christmas music as well. So we're
true.
like, we just don't want to go down there. And we just sat there and figured, why wouldn't we write, a few things that we feel in our heart that resonate with us, and we'll make them. Now, the chances of getting them to crack the Christmas mold, who knows? I mean, only time will tell that. But we are certainly very happy with our effort, and we toss it into the hat willingly for it to sink or swim in there. But I think we've come up with definitely broken some rules that we would normally adhere to in the pop side of things as far as styles, and some of the guests have allowed us to do that.
You make a great point about the songs that aren't, necessarily about Christmas per se. I mean, the "Baby It's Cold Outside" is another one. It's not really a Christmas song, I don't believe. It's just about, the fact that it's wintertime and it's cold outside.
Yeah, you associate it with the holidays because that's tends to be when you hear it, but they're really not Christmas songs. I read a fascinating fact about, I think, even the movie "It's a Wonderful Life." It wasn't a Christmas movie, and that it was a flop when it came out. It didn't become a classic until it had to simmer a little bit, and people realized the storyline and how special it was. And now you can't turn a television on at Christmas time without seeing that movie, both the colorized version and the black and white version. But it didn't start its life as a Christmas release or a Christmas movie.
I think the link is just the concept of comfort.
Yes, of course.
And yeah, Michael Bublé, something about that guy. I don't know how or why he does it. I know he sticks to the kind of traditional standards, but like he's a natural crooner. He just got that voice.
Yeah, and again, it's like Christmas music, there are a handful of people that can sing in that style, but very few can pull off what he pulls off. As far as if you think you're in some tough territory there when you've got the Sinatras and the Rat Packs of the world, and the for him to even be in that circle. But I honestly think he's got something very, very natural about how he approaches vocals. And if Sinatra was alive today, I think he'd give him a thumbs up. It's not a copy, which is a nice thing. He's not trying to mimic. I really feel it's stylistically maybe there's a comparison, but it's quite an original voice, and I think he's a very natural. It's an easy voice to listen to.
And I think there is an attitude aspect there too. I don't know if you've ever seen those old Sinatra clips where he goes up and just belts it out. He's got a cigarette in his mouth. Like it was a different time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a casualness, and certainly I don't know Michael personally, although there is a funny Glass Tiger story with Michael meeting Alan from the band. But he's very natural, and whenever I've seen him, out there, he doesn't feel contrived or that he comes off very honest and humble, which is always a comforting thing.
Definitely. Perry Como is next. Home for the Holidays.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking I've left it off the list, but I included that. Yeah. Well, we had fun with this. Not only is it a song that it's funny, Perry Como. Not everybody remembers Perry Como, but I used to watch TV with my mom and dad, and the Perry Como's Christmas special, including Bing Crosby's Christmas special, were staples on TV. And I love that track. We've actually even had some fun with it on this Christmas record. So there's a small little trinket on the end of one of the songs to deal with this song on our new Christmas record. So.
Oh, I like that. A little Easter egg. I like that.
I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Awesome. Last tune, Sam. Ray Charles, The Spirit of Christmas.
Yeah, again, I mean, and it's really, I was a fan of that song before it had the big cameo in Christmas Vacation, because there's a lovely moment where he's getting sentimental, and it's in there, which it perfectly suits that movie as well. But that's a song that I'm a huge fan, and it makes me think of friends and family when I hear that, and I know why the music supervisors picked it for that scene in that movie, but yeah, I just think it's a very unique song. It resonates. It's on the heavy rotation playlist when we're at Christmas time here.
I like that. So, what are some of the other songs that are on your Christmas playlist off the top of your head?
I have classical ones that I listen to sparingly. Kind of, I'm not a heavy dose of that, but there's some others that I tend to rotate around. I get a little bit saturated with the with the ones that they gravitate. Like you said, there's about 6 that hit the radio at the same moment.
Yeah.
And those ones I tend to avoid only because you're getting them on the radio level so much. But it's not that I hate them or anything, but it's just like there's a little oversaturation. And I tend to go through my record collection and kind of look for. I really like the ELP years ago did Father Christmas.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that track. I think it's very cool. I found because we're good pals with the guys in Honeymoon Suite.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize until a few years ago that they had done a Christmas record, and I thought it sounded terrific. They did a version of that song.
So I didn't know that either. That's funny. They were just on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and I think they should do another one. If we could pull off a Christmas record, I think the guys in the Honeymoon Suite should pull off another one. So throwing it out there.
Yeah. So your bonus pick here is Rick Emmett and Sam Reid, I Saw 3 Ships, from that album we were talking about earlier, Spirit of Christmas.
Yeah, and in fact, we did 2 versions of this. And the reason is we had sort of 2 different flavors going, and I wanted to feature more of Rick's guitar playing. So we did the song, he sang the song, and we had fun with it. And then at the time, I had an instrumental series, because I don't sing, or I sing very poorly, called Sanctuary, which was more along like a nature and relaxation mode. And I had 7 albums out. That's done really well. A lot of people probably from the Glass Tiger side wouldn't know that. Mm-hmm. And so I said to Rick, why don't you play some extra guitar in these Christmas tunes and we'll mix an instrumental version of it as well. So that song is on a record called Peace on Earth, which I put out on my label, and the one with Rick singing it is Spirit of Christmas. So it's and I listen to both versions, but I love hearing Rick play extra guitar, because there's, with the vocal, he's got a chance to play beautiful guitar through the whole track.
I bet you really had to twist his arm to say play extra guitars.
Normally, you're getting guitar players to play less, and I was asking them to play more. But yeah, no, beautiful. The acoustic work, as it's very much a nylon acoustic guitar kind of vibe and melodic, and it was just it was great. So I love both versions of it. So that's why it's on my list.
No, that's fantastic. I'm going to add that to my Christmas playlist, but also your new record. We'll join that as well. I'm looking forward to hearing the whole of this thing. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's a fun record. It started off as us looking for cover songs, and we just could not settle on them. And then we had some ideas that we had been working on musically. And it's funny, like, what makes it a Christmas song versus a regular pop song that you put out in the middle of the summer? Mm-hmm. It's really just a focus. And I played a few things musically for Alan and Al in the band, and Alan just wrapped his head around a lyric that pointed it in that direction, and one thing kind of led to another, and we ended up going from an EP to a full album, essentially. So there's about 7 original tunes on that record, along with the Gordon Lightfoot track, and we've really mixed some styles. We even have, and I won't mispronounce her last name, but there's one in the bridge of the song we featuring an opera singer, mega Canadian talented Isabelle Bayrakdarian, and I don't know if I pronounced her name perfectly, but we got in touch with her, and we thought, how could we feature that kind of a voice along with a pop vocal? And we blended the two worlds. She recorded her vocal in an empty concert hall in Fresno, California, because of COVID. And so this record is been created on 3 different time zones, pretty much, with parts being done remotely and pieced together because of COVID, right?
Oh, wow. Adaptability, right? It's all about adaptability.
Yeah, it's just, it's all possible. The technology exists now that you can share files back and forth, and everybody got a chance. Natalie McMaster's fiddle on the Gordon Lightfoot track, I went to her house and we recorded that in her garage because we couldn't get to a studio. That's done in her garage. Yeah.
That's cool. I love that. So you can say there's a little garage rock on there now too.
There is. Yeah. It's and it's amazing because she had this brand new system that she put together, but she's just learning how to run the whole system. So I ended up coming out and said, I'll tape op for you, and we'll get it done. So that's what made it possible. And Alan sang vocals. He was in Italy in March, so he ended up in a studio on the opera track singing in Florence. So I had Isabel in Fresno, California, of Alan in Florence, Italy, and me here north of Toronto, and everything's converging.
See, I like that. I hope that information's shared because people love that stuff. The behind-the-scenes stories behind the record. That's really cool.
Well, we're going to put some video out. There is some little cell phone video, pretty casual, but it's real. And we're going to have some fun with that. And Rock Voisine, of course, his vocals on we have a track called Happy Holidays, and he sang, we have a French and an English version on the record of that song. Wow. And that was recorded through a Zoom connection to the studio in Montreal. So Alan and I were here in Toronto. He's singing in Montreal, and it's all, connected.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the album Songs for a Winter's Night drops Friday, October 30th, digital format with CD and vinyl to follow. Sam Reid, thank you so much. This has been great chat. I really appreciate it, man.
Well, thank you very much. It feels like I'm getting the season started early here, so I'm excited, and it's going to be a very unusual Christmas for everyone this year, and I think that when you hear the songs and you hear the lyrics, it's certainly a little bit of what we feel is important that we've all done internally here, and it really comes down to the things that are important: life, friends, and family, and staying safe, and less about how many things you need and material things. And this Christmas, I think, is going to resonate with that.
Well said, Sam. I absolutely agree. Well said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being on. Take good care, and Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, I can. Well, I've never said it this early in the year, but Merry Christmas.
All right, this has been No Sleep Till Sudbury with Brent Jensen and my very special guest, Mr. Samuel Reid from Glass Tiger. Till next time, folks, take good care.
Brent Jensen is the best-selling author of No Sleep Till Sudbury, Leftover People, and All My Favorite People Are Broken. All titles available in stores and on Amazon worldwide.